So whether you're new in photography or even someone who is a professional, I'm sure you must have heard the debate before going on between whether APS-C cameras or full frame cameras are best. Which is the overall better device, which will give you the best bang for your buck, and ultimately, should you go with an APS-C or a full frame camera? So hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here or don't know who I am, my name is Jorva and I'm a creator that lives and works here in London, UK. So the big debate in the camera industry is APS-C versus full frame. Now, I'll be honest from the get-go, if you're looking for a definitive answer straight away, I'm afraid I can't give you that because there are both solid disadvantages and advantages which cancel each other out. But I do think though, before going ahead and making a purchasing decision, you should listen to all of the categories and then make up your mind accordingly. Before talking about advantages and disadvantages of both, let's actually talk about both different sensors, what actually APS-C and full frame is, and the overall difference between both. Now, the biggest and most critical part of an APS-C camera compared to a full frame is the actual sensor and the actual internals inside of the camera. So although you may take a picture on both and they may look similar compared to each other, the actual internals of the camera will be completely different. The C in APS-C actually stands for cropped. So what that means is in an APS-C image, there is a 1.5 times crop compared to the full frame. If I'm sitting here taking a picture of my camera, it will be slightly cropped in on an APS-C camera versus if I took that on my new Sony A7IV that I'm using to record this video. Now, with those overarching points out of the way, let's talk about advantages and disadvantages of both, and we'll start off with APS-C. Now, the biggest reason why someone would want to go for an APS-C over a full frame is that APS-C cameras are actually a lot less expensive than full frame cameras. Now, that's not to say that you can't create amazing images like I did say before, but if price is your biggest buying factor, then APS-C might be right for you. Now, although I do say that APS-C cameras are a lot less expensive, that's not to say that they're cheap. All cameras, all good quality cameras, are going to be quite expensive and will be a big hit on your budget, so just bear that in mind as well. But if you're looking for a beginner camera and a camera which you could use for a few years and not worry about basically not having money, then APS-C could be a good option. Also, for those guys who, like myself, like to go traveling a lot and are often going in between different countries, APS-C may be good for you because along with a smaller sensor and a more cropped image, does come a lighter body and easy to travel with compact body design. If you're someone who, for example, goes backpacking or someone who goes hiking, having that good quality crisp image in such a small package is a real big win for the APS-C range. Now, going on to point 3 of the advantages. Earlier on in the video, I did say that APS-C means that you have a 1.5 crop compared to full frame. If you're actually someone who does, for example, wildlife photography, you really need to be punched into your subject, and that's where the APS-C benefits compared to the full frame. Now that the advantages are out of the way, let's now go into the disadvantages of APS-C. And the biggest one, and probably the reason that I decided to switch, is the low light performance. Now, with that smaller sensor, obviously it's not going to be as good as a full frame, but like I said earlier, you still can get good shots. But if you're someone who's looking to go professional, or someone who uses it for a business, or someone who just wants higher quality stuff, then full frame is better than an APS-C. There's only so much you can push the APS-C camera before it just simply can't handle those environments. So for me, the low light one was a big issue, and although I didn't often find myself in low light situations, when I needed it, I couldn't really rely on the APS-C range. Now, a second disadvantage, which sort of feeds off of the first disadvantage, is that APS-C cameras, well, majority of APS-C cameras have a much less dynamic range. In certain environments and in certain images, you sort of start losing detail and sort of highlights get blown out and stuff. And it's just hard to explain unless you've actually felt and used a full frame camera. Now, I'm conscious that this video may be a little too long, so I'm going to try to run through the advantages and disadvantages of full frame as quick as I can. The first big advantage of the full frame camera over the APS-C is the sensor. And if you've never picked up a full frame, then obviously you might not even notice it in an APS-C. But once you pick up a full frame and you compare both, honestly, the detail that a full frame captures is so much more better than an APS-C. Obviously, with that, when you are in a low light situation and you're going out and say you're vlogging or you're just taking street photography at night, that bigger sensor has the ability and the capability to create much more detail and create a lot crisper and sharper image compared to APS-C. Again, another advantage of the full frame is that wide field of view. Now, I often don't find myself in situations where I need to punch in, like I said earlier, so having that wide field of view really is helpful. And it may be something in the beginning where you might not even think about it, but then when you pick up an APS-C camera, you just wish you had a little more ability to punch out and create a more dynamic image. Now, the disadvantages of full frame cameras, I think we have to start at the big elephant in the room, which is the price. Now, you guys might be saying that, you know, I could get an APS-C used for £600 and then I can get a full frame used for £1.5 grand. So which one is better? Why would I spend all that extra money when I'm not even going to use those features? And to them, I'd say, you're right, you might not use those features, so don't buy a full frame camera. If you've got the budget, go for full frame. If you don't have the budget, go for APS-C. Now, the biggest disadvantage for me personally that I've noticed is the weight increase. And I honestly didn't expect it to be as much as it is in hand, because what I read online is a weight of only a few hundred grams difference, which I thought it can't be that much, it's only a few hundred grams. But when you put each in your hand like that, you can really tell a big difference. And when you're traveling, you can tell a big difference as well. If you're traveling a lot for your profession and you use your camera for your profession, probably stick with a full frame, because it's just something that you're going to have to live with for better quality. But if you're someone who's traveling a lot and just wants a good quality camera and you want something which is easy to fit in your bag, APS-C can definitely do that compared to full frame. I think the question that everyone wants to be answered is, which is better? Is it APS-C or full frame? Let me talk about why I decided to switch, and if it resonates with you, then it can help you make that decision as well. Now, for me, the main thing that I use my camera for is recording and pretty much creating these YouTube videos. And I know I may not have a large following, but I want to create good quality content consistently, and having a good quality camera is helping me do that. But not only that, I also want to start getting into professional space and have the ability to go in the professional space if I ever want. So having that full frame camera is really good for me, because I know if I do want to go professional, I have a good quality camera that rivals other people on the market. If you're someone who is starting out in photography and you just want something which can help you understand photography and understand camera settings, then definitely go for an APS-C and save your money. And when you learn, and if you like doing that, you can then upgrade anytime in the future. Now, I hope I answered that question sufficiently enough, and I hope this video wasn't too long. But if you did enjoy it and made it this far to the end, then please do let me know in the comments, and hit the like button as well to show your appreciation and let me know what types of videos to make. And with that being said, I'll see you all in my next video next week.